by the looks of it, maybe they're starting to get it together as well, and that is the Edmonton Oilers, of course. So tied with Calgary for that fourth spot in the Pacific. They've won 3 in a row, 51 points in 45 games. They've played one more game than Calgary. A thought on the Oilers and your grade, Case?
Well, I have them at a C, just a step below Calgary. I have them at a C because I'm so mad at them. How can you have a player that is on pace for 150 points or whatever he's at now, and you're still not a playoff team? That blows my mind. I've listed the positives here. I've listed them as players. I listed McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, and Stuart Skinner. No other positives here on this team in my mind. The negatives, not in a playoff spot. Another negative, not the time to miss the playoffs. When you have McDavid, if they miss the playoffs, I might have to delete Instagram so I don't have to see all the posts and articles about how they're ruining McDavid's career and how they need to trade him and trade rumors start about Connor McDavid. Another negative, Jack Campbell. That's tough, man. Again, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I hate that I have to root against him because I have Skinner on my fantasy team, but I've been doing it. And then their slow start is another negative. They started out so poorly. They really have started to turn it around. That's why it could be a C-plus team in my mind. But, man, the slow start's killing them. Make the playoffs for Connor McDavid's sake, please.
If the Oilers miss the playoffs this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Connor McDavid will be the first player ever to win the Hart Trophy after his team did not make the playoffs, because he will win the Hart Trophy, period. It's not even a conversation. There are other players who have been really good for their respective teams. A guy who comes to mind is Tage Thompson. Another one is Jason Robertson, Matthew Tkachuk, I mentioned earlier, Connor Hellebuck as a goaltender carrying his team. All of these players are in the conversation, but they're not even close to what Connor McDavid is doing. We have not seen a player this electric, maybe ever in our lifetime. This guy might get 150 points. And when I say our lifetime, I mean us watching the TV, watching players live. We didn't watch Mario Lemieux live. We didn't watch Gretzky live. So seeing this player do what he's doing, it's not only as exhilarating as Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin in their rookie years, but it's actually better. What he's doing is unprecedented. And if the Oilers miss the playoffs, McDavid will likely be the first player to win the Hart Trophy when his team misses. And that would be an absolute joke. And I would be pissed if I'm an Oilers fan, and I would be pissed if I'm a hockey fan in general, a fan of any other team, because that's just a joke. How many years have they had with McDavid and they haven't been able to build something decent around? How have they not had a back end that's been even serviceable, to be honest? It's been very tough to watch. All I'll say on Edmonton, this is a quick one for me as I wrap up my point. They have the best power play in the league by a wide margin. They have 2 of the top point scorers in the NHL year in, year out, and they might still miss the playoffs. So if they don't figure it out, I'm going to be pissed. But for everyone's sake, I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they figure it out. And right now, Money Puck does have them with a better chance than not of making the playoffs. So, I'm betting on the fact that they will, but it's not a guarantee, and that's a joke at this point. So for all those reasons, I'm giving Edmonton a D+.
Wow, harsh to Oilers fans. Oh my goodness.
I hope Jay was listening to that. Jay Zucci in the Fantasy League.
But hey, I get it. And, for me, I do think this team will get into the playoffs, but they have to continue this little run that they're on, because if they miss, that is a colossal failure. I don't know how else to describe it. You have arguably two of the top players on the entire planet on your team playing for you every night, and they can only do so much. 2 guys can only do so much for this hockey team. The goaltending we knew it was a risk, giving Jack Campbell that kind of term and money. And with him, he's a great guy and everything. He can be a great goaltender, but I feel like with him, it's all mental and confidence, and he has a really hard time moving on from things. He lets in a bad goal, it sticks with him. That playoff series loss to the Montreal Canadiens when he was in Toronto and in the bubble, I think that still haunts him to this day. He has a tough time letting things go. Stuart Skinner looks like he's arrived. He's had his ups and downs, but he's the guy right now that you got to roll with, in my opinion. And then on the back end, I look at a guy like Evan Bouchard, who had a huge breakout year for them, but this year, I think it's fair to say, he's been kind of invisible. Like Jay Woodcroft has, he's scratched him at times, he's sat him at times because he's been having tough nights, and so they are clearly looking for a defenseman. We've heard rumors about guys like Gavrikov in Columbus, Edmonton in Montreal, and the list goes on. And then, of course, the forward depth. Like, it drives me crazy watching an Oilers game one night, and who are the two guys on McDavid's wing? Yamamoto and Jesse Puljujarvi. Are you kidding me? That is who you give the best player on the planet, those two guys on his wings. And it's funny, like, a guy who has played on his wing at times and has been good, he's been a good fit for Edmonton in general, is Klim Kostin. But still, it's like, Ken Holland, this is the best that you can do for this guy, the best player on the planet, who probably will have 150 points this season. If they miss the playoffs, he's got to ask to be out of Edmonton. It'll be tough to see, but my goodness, man. And I just, they made it to the Final Four last year, but they can't keep holding on to that. This is this season, and you have to, this is their window to win with these guys, because Draisaitl, in a couple of years already, he's going to be looking for a new ticket, and that deal is going to be massive. So with all that being said, I'm not going to be too harsh on the Oilers. I'll give them a B-, because it looks like they're starting to turn around, and they're getting Evander Kane back in their lineup.
That's going to be a big boost for them, getting Kane back. And, they have Hyman now. They
haven't been the same without him.
Yeah.
He's a huge part of that team.
They have Hyman now, too, and he's been good. He's had a good year. And also, Nuge has had a breakout year. Now, a lot of his points have come on the power play, but, listen, it's the best power play in the league. What are you going to do? Not get points on it? It's still impressive. So, they've had some good individual seasons, clearly. I just don't understand, why they can't figure it out and start racking up some more wins. It's just frustrating.
It is. It's extremely frustrating. And, again, Darnell Nurse, he's a good defenseman. I really like him, but he's not worth over $9 million a season. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, and that, because of that and the back end that they've built, they're going to overspend at the deadline. They're going to add a Joel Edmondson for a first and a prospect, and, then you're going to mortgage your future for... I mean, listen, they went to the Final Four last year, like you said. You can't take that away from them. They've had far more playoff success than... frankly, some teams who have been far better in the regular season. I'm talking about the Maple Leafs. So I can't really say anything about the team. It's just frustrating to watch. And it's sad as a hockey fan to see McDavid, who is... I wouldn't say he's going to get 150 points, but he has a legitimate shot at doing that, which would be incredible to see.
I said he probably will. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but we would not bat an eye if he actually did it. So, yeah, I just hope that they can get in and be a tough out and go on a run like they did last year, but... It is tough to follow it up 2 years in a row, and right now we're not really convinced. But there is some hope. They've won 3 games in a row, getting healthier. We'll see what they do at the deadline as well.